one man's opinion on sports with Bryan Pasquale. The phone lines are open at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. You can also watch live on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page. Here is your host, Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas studio. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's ready to take your calls at 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. What's up, Ryan?
What's up, brother? How you doing today?
I am fantastic. It was really windy out there today.
You know what? Whenever I was leaving my house, the small town that I live in nearby, it was snowing. It was snowing a lot, and I thought, geez, oh man. But the closer I got here to the studio, the snow started to dissipate, and by the time I pulled in, there was no snow at all, so I'll take it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Early this afternoon, like right around noonish or so, a little about 12:15, I was listening to the Two Dumb Yinzers live cast.
Yeah.
And is there anything you notice right now that's like kind of shouldn't maybe be on the table in front of me that's not normally here, but it's here today?
Let me take a quick look. See, I think the fact that you look like you're getting ready to play beer pong.
Yes.
No, that's not it.
Not it.
What else do we got going on over there? Is that a pirate statue? No, that's not a pirate.
No.
What is that? Is that a Rubik's Cube?
It is a Rubik's Cube. My buddy gave me one about a week and a half ago to mess around with. I fiddled around with it for 4 hours. I got like halfway done. So I ordered one, and I spent 2 days on it, and I completed it during the middle of your live cast today.
Okay.
So the first time I ever completed, I've completed it like 5 times since.
Well, that to me tells me that that our show is in fact it makes you smarter. That's what I'm going to go with.
I was multitasking. So why don't you tell everybody about your show real quick?
Yes, it is called the Two Dumb Yinzers Show. We are on every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. You could always check us out that way. And if you don't get a chance, or maybe you just want to listen to the show, we upload the new episode that we do every day over on Spotify in podcast form. So if you're out and about, if you're in the car, whatever it is, you could always listen to the show. That's at www.thetwodumbYinzers.com.
So we have a lot to get into today. We're going to talk about the Steelers a good bit. We do have 2 guests coming on, so make sure you guys stay tuned. We will have Ralph Williams on at 5:15 and Dan the Man Neely on at 5:30. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I was talking to, and we're going to have him on, William, a.k.a. Billy, a.k.a. Bill. We're going to have him on. He is he's like a baseball expert. He's just like a wealth of knowledge. And I was talking to him the other day for about an hour about the Pirates and their moves and whatnot. So we're going to have him on the show before the opening day. But he did say, it was funny because we got into Steelers a little bit. And I'd mentioned something like that. I said TJ Watt is overrated.
No, you didn't.
I did say this.
That did not come out of your mouth.
The first time ever. All right, so like the 100th time I said that day. And he said, I do too. And it caught me off guard because most people just like roll their eyes at me and think I'm crazy. And he says, Brian, he plays the game a certain style to get his stats.
Right.
And I was like, is this, what's going on here? Is this the Twilight Zone? Like what? I never get this response.
Right.
So he got this quote from me. This was after TJ Watt lost to Garrett for the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
TJ Watt texted or tweeted or whatever, nothing I'm not used to. Okay, we know all that.
Right.
But then he did say, and I'm going to read this quote. I'm going to read it twice. I'm not about the individual goals anymore. I've set myself up nice where I've been having a good career, but it doesn't matter if you're not winning games when they matter most. I think that's the objective number one for sure. Let me read that again. I'm not about the individual goals anymore.
Okay.
How many years has he been in the league?
Quite a few. roughly what, 7,
So
8?
I'm reading this quote as he's been playing for individual goals this entire time, and now he's finally figuring out maybe he should play to win a game.
Why? I mean, do you really think that that's alien to, just young athletes in general in any of the sports? I mean, a lot of times these guys do come up and it's all about them, and they do nothing to hide that. So, I mean, I don't know if that surprises me, but at the end of the day, I like the latter part of the comment because he had said that, that he's not doing it anymore. So, in fact, if he was, now maybe he'll focus more on the team and doing things for, to help the Steelers win. But at the end of the day, Brian, I mean, is it really a surprise?
I'm not surprised, but for him to, I don't know. It's just kind of like, I guess, a politician just out there stating something that's so ludicrous that they don't care if you know it or not.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see if T.J. Watt does play the run maybe some more, or if he continues to rush upfield 8 yards and try to get a sack on every play.
Well, let me ask one man's opinion on this one.
Yes.
If you would have a choice to have to stick up for, let's say, just because that's the first thing on top of my head, if you had to stick up for one of these two guys, who would it be? Would it be T.J. Watt or would it be LeBron James? Because I know that you have similar, comments and things like this on your social media about LeBron James. Ooh. I want to know one man's opinion. If it came down to it, Brian, who would you stick up for more? Would you stick up for T.J. Watt or would you stick up for LeBron James?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one because, honestly, in my humble opinion, I believe that LeBron James is the most overrated athlete of all time. I'm not saying he's not very good because he is, but I've said repeatedly that T.J. Watt is the most overrated defensive player in the NFL. So I guess I would have to stick up for Watt because I only said he's the most overrated defensive player in the NFL, whereas I said LeBron James is the most overrated athlete of all time.
Okay.
So I would stick up for Watt.
Okay. You know what? I might have been able to guess that. As I said, I could kind of get the degree of how you feel about these guys, and it seems like LeBron, you're just kind of over and done with this guy, and if he would retire and ride off into the sunset, that'd be just fine with you.
Oh, that's not happening. It just keeps lingering. I'll tell you what I didn't like LeBron is when he did the decision and put on that whatever hour-long God knows what to go to Miami.
Oh. With the three of them there, they were.
It was just terrible.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. Okay, well, whatever.
Right.
But, I started, questioning T.J. Watt and watching him more when he did his hold-in.
Okay.
That's when he started bothering me, too. So, that's just my humble opinion. What's your opinion? Does Brandon Ayuk, is that how you say his name? Does he look like Mike Tomlin?
Yeah, I mean, he looks similar, I guess. I mean, they kind of both have them big eyes. And, I guess if you had to take a look at both of them and say, I would shrug and say, yeah, they look alike. But I got to be honest with you. And to this point, I never really thought to myself, hey, look, Brandon Ayuk looks like Mike Tomlin.
Well, I guess, Brandon, what did he tweet out? They saying we twins. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious.
Well, the thing I take away from this, Brian, it's an odd text in the sense that, you don't see Josh Allen texting Sean Payton and saying, hey, Sean, we look like, you know what I mean? And granted, they don't look like one another, but it's a very odd thing to go cross the aisle, so to speak, and make this kind of comment toward another team's coach.
Do you think there's something behind it?
I think that there is. I think that even if it doesn't hold much weight, there is some weight being held because I do know that this Steelers front office is super aggressive this year, and it wouldn't surprise me if they reached out at some point. It wouldn't surprise me if they reached out to quite a few guys. I mean, you're seeing the names on the internet, rumors, possibilities, and just because he's not on our team at the moment, or if he never will be, I mean, it doesn't mean that these guys haven't talked and created some kind of kinship in a way. But it seemed like an odd post for just a random football player to put up about another team's coach. And that's just my opinion.
Well, over the last 2 seasons, he's had 153 catches for 2,357 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, we could use that, right?
Oh.
I mean, what's our depth chart looking like? We got Pickens. We have the wrong Jefferson.
Oh.
We have Austin and Boykin. Is that our 4 wide receivers currently?
It feels like there's somebody else. There was one other receiver. 'Cause I did think about this the other day, but I can't think who it was. It's pretty much a no name. But yeah, you're close. That's very, very close.
Yeah,
to being,
so we definitely still need a couple receivers is the bottom line, because if the wrong Jefferson.
Yeah.
If the wrong Jefferson is our number 2 or 3, we're in trouble.
Yes.
I think he's a 4. Go out there and get 20 catches a year, and if somebody's down a game or two, you move into the slot.
He basically, Brian, takes the same role on as Allen Robinson. I don't see any more or any less production out of the wish list Jefferson than I did from Allen Robinson. And one thing that I do get out of this is he's a pretty down-to-earth guy, and they think that he's going to be in a nice position to be a leader to the young receivers, George Pickens and whoever else may come along. So I'm cool with that. I'll take that because, getting rid of Deontay was one leg, and I think if somebody could sit down with this guy to kind of calm him down from week to week, maybe, just maybe, this veteran can do that.
Well, over the last 2 weeks, like you said, the front office, we got rid of Keanu Neal. We got rid of Patrick Peterson. We swapped Deontay Johnson. We got rid of him and picked up Dante Jackson. We signed the long snapper Christian Kuntz. Signed, obviously, Russell Wilson, Patrick Queen, Deshaun Elliott, Justin Fields. We traded, a 6th-round pick. If he plays 51% of the games, it ends up being a 4th-round pick conditionally. Safety Miles Killebrew. We signed Van Jefferson. Unfortunately, it's Van Jefferson. No offense, Van. I'm sure you're going to do great here. And the punter, Cameron Johnston.
Yes.
So, pretty active. This is the most active offseason I've ever seen the Steelers with actual names. It's like whoever's left that we can get cheap, we'll throw them on the roster.
Because last year was very similar, the style of offseason that we had. But as you stated, the big names are coming into play this year. Your Russell Wilson, your Justin Fields, of course, Patrick Queen. These are huge names on any team, any situation, any year. These names are moving around. You're talking about it. So, yes, as a fan, I certainly love it. And I also think, Brian, that it's something you kind of have to do in the new age of the NFL. Things move way too fast in this league to build your team from the draft mainly only.
Yeah, everybody. It's not just the Steelers making moves. It's everything everywhere. I can't even keep up. I'm at work, and I get 3,500 texts from different people on who got picked up here, who got picked up there. What's going on? Not to change subject because I want to get back to this. I'm a little lost. The ex-Steeler that's running from the cops?
Oh, Cameron Sutton.
I guess a domestic thing, and there's a warrant out for him, and I guess where is he at? I don't even know what team he's on.
You know what? Wasn't he? Didn't he play for the Lions? Maybe he was one of the Lions pickups. Could have been,
but I guess the Lions locker rooms. I guess outside of the jurisdiction of whomever's looking for him. I don't know. So I don't know. So hopefully, I don't know that whole situation gets squared away.
Real quick before you do move on, Brian. Yeah. That's a pretty horrible thing that a former defensive back did. This is a Pittsburgh Steeler. But you know what's even worse that's going on? A former defensive Steeler, Arthur Millette, re-signs with the hated Baltimore Ravens. Isn't that so much more worse than what Sutton's doing?
If you sign with the Ravens or you sign with the Flyers, you're dead to me.
Right.
Unless it's like your last year or something and you're like Cordell Stewart. Do you remember when Cordell Stewart won Special Teams Player of the Week?
Wow, I don't remember that. No,
I don't know what he did. He punted, he kicked a extra point, and he threw a touchdown or something out of it was crazy.
Yes.
Good old Cordell Stewart. Slash.
I love Slash, and I think a lot of people that are our age certainly that remember and lived through Slash. Is that he? I think that Justin Fields puts me in mind to him so much. Maybe it's his style, maybe it's the way he runs, throws. I don't know what it is. But I'm getting strong Cordell Stewart vibes from him. So you know what? Maybe, just maybe, we could implement him somewhere when Russell Wilson is starting at quarterback, because this guy.
Do you think he's going to get in like 4 or 5 plays a game?
I hope he does, because I tell you what, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but over the past since 2022, he's ran for more yards than Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts in that same period of time. We got to get this guy involved some way. He can't rot away on the bench. Yes, he is learning behind Russell Wilson. Yes, he is going to be the quarterback moving forward after Russell Wilson. But right now, To sit there with this guy on the sideline week in, week out, when you know the talent and the potential that he has on the field is crazy. He has to at least get about 4 or 5 plays, in my opinion, man.
All right. Well, we got to go to break, unfortunately. On the other side, we will have Ralph Williams from Sports Corner. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We will be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Are you ready to start your career journey? Turn your dream into a degree at Community College of Beaver County. With over 35 degrees and pathways in business, health science, STEM, aviation, and more, CCBC can help you navigate to your destination. Which will you choose? Enroll now for spring classes and start your journey. Learn more at ccbc.edu. Real learning for real life.
Do you wish that you had the support of a family in your financial institution? You can when you become a family member at Friendly Federal Credit Union. This is Cindy Haladio. If you haven't already applied for membership at Friendly Federal Credit Union, what are you waiting for? It's time for a family reunion. Join the friendliest family in Beaver County. The member owners at the place that makes more sense for you. Friendly Federal Credit Union. Member NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
As your life evolves, so should your furniture. The new Flex modular seating furniture by FlexSteel at AK Nahas changes with your lifestyle. Durable, stain-resistant, sustainable, easily customized. Discover Flex. This President's Day, take an extra 15% off our low price on your FlexSteel purchase and save an additional 10% off your FlexSteel furniture purchase, along with free local delivery and 12 months special financing. Only at AK Nahas. You'll do okay with AK.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing replacement, windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. All right, on the phone, we do have Ralph Williams. You can catch him every Tuesday from 4 to 6 on Sports Corner here on Beaver County Radio 99.3. Welcome to the show, Ralph.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I have a question for you before we get into sports. Have you ever messed around with like a Rubik's Cube or solved one?
I've messed with the Rubik's Cube but never solved it.
Well, I messed with it throughout the years, and like about a month or two ago, I said to my family, I said, I'm going to get a Rubik's Cube, and I'm going to solve it, and I finally did today. I suggest everybody going out there doing it. It's a fun little activity, I guess.
I got to say this, Brian.
I've been Brian, at one time, they had a book that came out that showed you how to do it, and that's when everybody started doing it,
I got to say, Brian, I've never seen somebody so you're really into this Rubik's Cube. We were talking a little bit last night about a few things for the show today, and you were working on the Rubik's Cube. I know this morning you were working on the Rubik's Cube, and you were so excited. And I walk in the studio, and there it is right in front of you on the table. I think I'm kind of proud of you. I think, right?
I'm proud of myself. It was a lot of work, and like I said, since I figured it out today, I've done it about 5 times since then.
Really?
But I don't think anybody wants to tune in and listen to my Rubik's Cube stories for the next 45 minutes. So let's get into some Pitt men's basketball, Ralph. What happened? Where did it go wrong? Were they snubbed? Your thoughts on the whole situation?
Well, it's the politics of the NCAA, Brian and Ryan. It's the bottom line is they should have been in it. And here's what the NCAA does: they changed the game. They changed the rules in the middle of the game. Last year, and Pitt was told at the beginning of the season that it was based on your final wins and losses in your tournament play. Okay? Now, they all of a sudden decided at the last minute to change the rules and make it to where your non-conference schedule has to be strong. And Pitt didn't have a strong non-conference schedule, and they lost to a couple good teams like Florida, Missouri in the non-conference schedule. And that's where, and then they started out 0-5. That didn't help. But again, Duquesne started out 0-5. Okay, but the difference is that Duquesne won their conference championship. That's the difference.
So in other words,
where,
at the end of the day,
Pitt,
they
Pitt
just didn't play well enough to get to the tournament. Because Duquesne in their conference played well enough to get to the tournament. They won the amount of games they needed to win.
Yeah.
They beat the opponents. And at the end of the day, no matter which way you slice it, Brian and Ralph, they just didn't win enough basketball games. If they would have won maybe another game, if they would have, and for the people that are going on and on about how they got robbed, okay, if they did, that's one thing. But on the other hand, they just didn't win enough to get in, guys.
Ralph, do you remember?
That's true too. That's true too, Ryan. I agree with you on that in some perspective. But I had Bill Hillgrove on yesterday, and he said that the reason Pitt snubbed the NIT was because that's a tournament run by the NCAA. And they figure, heck, if you don't want us in the NCAA, why should we be in the NIT? And that, because he came right out and told us why Pitt didn't accept the NIT, invitation.
Ralph, I know we talked about this over the past, month and a half or so, whenever you've been on my show or I've been on yours, and those two Syracuse losses, I said they were going to come back to bite them. If they'd at least split with Syracuse, I think it would have been enough to get them in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? They should have beat Syracuse in both of those games anyway, Brian. Syracuse is nowhere near as good as it used to be. I think it's time for Jim Boeheim to resign.
I agree.
Because Syracuse hasn't been good in the last probably, 5, maybe 6 years? They haven't been any good at all.
As far as Pitt snubbing the NIT, do you have any insider information on who ultimately made the decision to Capel go to the team and to the players and give them the option, or do you know how that went down?
Bill Hillgrove told us yesterday that he went to the players and asked them what they wanted to do, and the players said no. They didn't want to do the NIT.
That's where I have a problem, Brian. I think yes, you should ask the players. Absolutely, you should get a general consensus. However, I think it should go beyond that. I think it should go to Heather Like, the AD. I think it should go to the board because at the end of the day, this is a university decision. Yes, it is a basketball decision. Yes, it is a decision made for the basketball team, Brian. But at the end of the day, you know what? This team still has to recruit. This college still has to recruit. It still has to run its business. And at the end of the day, wouldn't them playing more basketball games created more business for the University of Pittsburgh? So, in my opinion, I think that should go. The decision should have to go beyond just the team.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Ryan. I do. That should have probably been made by Heather, like you said, and Pitt could have had two home games. They would have been a top seed in the NIT. They would have had at least 2 home games. That would have produced revenue for the university, the city, and everything else.
Yeah, the revenue. Yeah, that's my thought. Like, why not take that extra revenue?
Pitt's crying as it is, guys, about this NIL. They had to form that committee, that group, Alliance 412, and they got Doug Whaley running it. And so, they are crying about that now. They could have had extra money to worry about the NIL. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I'm okay with the decision. I don't know if they were little babies about it or what they did, but I don't mind the decision, but they have to live with the decision. Moving on, when these guys are 25, 30-year-old men, they have to say, was that the right decision or not? And I guess that'll be the judge of that.
Brian, I got to say, and Ralph, I think that it might be just as fun to watch and support and see this Duquesne Dukes team this year in the tournament. If the Pitt Panthers didn't make it and there was no Duquesne, a lot of people would be bitter around here, like I'm not even going to watch. But you know what? Isn't this Duquesne trip to the big dance? Isn't this almost just as exciting as watching Pitt play? Because it's rare. I mean, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, Ryan.
So I'm excited about that. I can't wait. They play BYU They do have the number 11.
Yeah, they play BYU tomorrow.
Yeah. They're the number 11 seed. BYU's number 6. I think that's a winnable game for a team like Duquesne.
I heard that Duquesne was supposed to play Gonzaga, and BYU got moved around, and so did Duquesne, because I guess BYU can't play on Sunday, so they had to play the Thursday-Saturday schedule versus the Friday-Sunday schedule. BYU, the 6th seed, Duquesne, the 11th seed. They play tomorrow at 12:40. This is like a big religious battle, isn't it, Ralph? It's the Catholics versus the Mormons, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it is.
We have a regular holy war here.
I'd like to see Duquesne win some extra games for Keith Danbrock, because he's getting ready to resign and step down because his wife is sick and he's up in age, and he even said it, the grind, the wear and tear, and and he's going out pretty much a winner. They made it to the NCAA tournament. That was his goal.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow about 2:30 in the afternoon who's God's the real God, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, boy. All right. So, Ralph, do you fill out brackets or anything with March Madness?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
I just sit and watch it. I don't do brackets. I don't get involved in contests with that or nothing.
Anybody that you see, Ralph, a favorite amongst the teams? Is there anybody that stands out to you so far? I mean, I know you don't do the brackets or anything like that, but is there any team that you see and you're thinking, wow, this team's got to be in the running?
I can't really say. I don't know. Like I said, I really haven't been following other conferences more or less.
Right.
But, I'm taking in this thing here as an underdog. I'm taking NC State.
Okay.
I think they can. They're
on
the
a roll.
underdog here, and I always root for the underdog.
And that would be cool for a team that Pitt beat in the last game of the year if they went on to win it all.
Their last defeat was to the Pitt Panthers, yes.
But, Pitt don't belong in there, but everybody else does.
Ryan, who's your team? I know is there a big 7-footer that you like?
I do. I love this Purdue team. I thought they were going to do it last year. However, they had one of those oopsie top division first round bounce outs. I do think that this is going to be their year. It just has that feel. It has that feel. I got to go with Purdue this year, man.
All right. Well, moving to the Steelers here real quick, Ralph. We have about 3 minutes or so. We've done a bunch of great things. I think you agree with that from what I've heard from you. What holes do they still need to fill, and what are they going to do in the draft with their first 3 picks?
Well, Brian, the lines of scrimmage, both of them. They need a center. They definitely need to at least to get one more offensive tackle, and then they have to get some defensive linemen. The guys that they have in my eyes, and Armin Watts went bye-byes, and then other than Keanu Benton and Cam Hayward, and who knows what Okunjobi's going to do. I was a big supporter of Okunjobi until this past year, but they got to do something here. They're aged. And the guys they have behind them are not very good at all. And some of them haven't even played for a while. The Marvin Lewell hasn't played. And he was a healthy scratch for about 4 games.
I think
they have to do something.
I think this is going to be a big depth draft. I think they're going to get their center and their tackle, as you were saying, because those are dire needs. But I got to be honest with you. It seems like the million picks that we have after that we've accumulated, it's going to be a depth draft.
Yeah, we have to get some depth, Ryan. I agree with you on that in several things. We're also going to get our third-string quarterback. You heard what Ray Fittipaldo said yesterday. We're going to get our third-string quarterback out of this draft. I'm thinking Sam Hartman.
I'd love to get Sam
who
Hartman.
I think they can get.
I think Sam Hartman's going to be a guy that gets.
Because I don't see him going in the top 3 rounds.
I don't either. And the beauty about Sam Hartman, I think he's good enough to be a solid quarterback, if not a backup in the NFL. I think he may be more productive than a couple of these guys that are going to go in the first round. He fits that bill, that guy that comes out later that has a generally good season career in the NFL.
Yeah, he's going to be the guy, Ryan, and Brian. He's going to be the guy that was the Georgia quarterback that's a backup now. And he's played a few games for the Rams.
Yeah.
He was their starter.
Stetson
that
Bennett.
guy. He's going to be like that guy.
I'll take it.
All right, Ralph, we're going to have to go to break here. Any last thoughts before we go to break?
Well, let's see what the Steelers do next. They hired an assistant to the assistant in the movie theater today. They hired a guy named Anthony Midget to be their assistant defensive backs coach. So there you go.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Ralph.
You're welcome. Anytime. Thank you.
All right. You guys can check out Ralph Williams on the Sports Corner every Tuesday from 4 to 6 here on Beaver County Radio. You guys have been listening to WBBP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
What's up, folks? This is Maurice Trent, and I'm a Blackhawk Cougar. Well, it's true that when it's game time, we might be on different sides. It's the other team that we were all a part of that will make it real difference once the season's over.
If you're an employer, what do you look for in a prospective new hire? A proven track record is usually the number one trait. For 46 years now, the Beaver County Career and Technology Center has been creating the workforce that has shaped Western Pennsylvania industry and service sector enterprises. It's the program with proven experience that employers know they can count on when they need to fill their workforce. Enroll your child or grandchild at the known quantity among educators and business leaders alike for 4 decades. The Beaver County Career and Technology Center. Signing up through your local public school is easy and can give your student the ability, in many cases, to make more money in certain fields than college graduates. Free career training at Beaver County Career and Technology Center is the perfect choice. Visit bcctc.org.
This is Andy Toole, men's basketball coach at Robert Morris University, here to talk about my friends at Falcone Moon Township Ford. I know what it takes to win a basketball game. It begins with practice and a team of players who want to win. The same is true of the team at Moon Township Ford. Professionals who will win you over. They'll find the best rate and terms on a car loan to help you get the best deal. Make a fast break and avoid the roadblocks that stop you from finding the car you want. Go where I go. Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Looking for that special home or wanting to sell yours? Let the Lisa Latham team, brokered by eXp Realty, help you. Hi, I'm Tank Latham, and our goal is to make you feel comfortable whether buying or selling. Lisa and I strive to make the process as smooth and as easy as possible. We invite you to visit the all-new eXp office located at 926 3rd Avenue, New Brighton. Give us a call at 724-307-5472. Check out Beaver County Home Inventory on our website, lisalatham.com. The Lisa Latham team, results that move you.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas studio. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior modeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008.
I tell you what, Brian, you run those commercials really well. And whenever you're doing them, I think to myself, wow, what a great commercial voice. I would like to see you do a commercial for that Rubik's Cube.
I should. Dr. Rubik's.
Yes.
It took I guess he was, Professor Rubik's was teaching
his name was Professor Rubik's.
I don't know his first name. He was a professor somewhere.
Okay.
He was teaching his class about like 3-dimensional things, right? So he created the cube, and as he messed it up, he couldn't figure out how to get it back.
Like 99% of the population.
And it took him 1 month. The inventor, 1 month. That is 29 days longer than it took me to figure out the Rubik's Cube.
Look at you. If anybody should be doing any kind of promotion for the Rubik's Cube, it should be you. And also, Brian, as I said, you did it really fast. But as Ralph was saying, when he called in, they created a video at one point, and that's what made it really popular. Maybe if you are out there putting the word out to this generation, this could be something that blows up again.
I have a face for radio, Ryan.
You also got a body for radio, but I think we have a caller.
Right. All right, right now we have our Bills insider, NFL expert, our fantasy guru, the dancing destroyer, the king of sting, the count of Monte Fisco, the prince of punch, the master of disaster, the one, the only, Dan the Man Neely.
All right.
Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thank you. What a lot to say.
Hey, Dan, I have a real quick question for you, and I asked Ralph. Did you ever mess around with like a Rubik's Cube?
Oh, with this Rubik's Cube.
You know what? I got a good story to share with about Rubik's Cube. So when I was, I don't know, we'll just say around 9 or 10, my mom was dating a guy from my hometown, Bradford, Pennsylvania, and his name was Gene Means, and he was like a Rubik's Cube world record chaser. And I bet you I mixed up the Rubik's Cube and stopwatch time Gene solve it thousands of times. And
Wow.
I'm not kidding. He did it in under the world record hundreds of times, and he would go to compete for a new world record every year in the competition, and he never got it, but I had watched him break the record. It was 4.4 seconds, and he broke it all the time, and it was amazing. He held it this certain way, and he could just move it in every direction, like faster than you could possibly see. I don't even know how I have still to this day never been able to solve a Rubik's Cube, even though I have watched perhaps the greatest Rubik's Cube solver ever solve thousands of
4.4 seconds. That's, even if you were to take the stickers off and re-put them back on the Rubik's Cube to cheat, you couldn't even do that, anywhere near 4.4 seconds. That's crazy.
It was either 4.4 seconds or 7.7 seconds. I know that he did it in 4 seconds. I remember that.
I get nothing
Yeah, I think
done.
that is the record. The cube I have, it's not the original cube that everybody had in like the 80s growing up where you could remove the stickers. There's no stickers on this, and like the centerpieces have rounded edges and there's magnets in it, so for speed. So I'm going to be cheating a little bit, but I doubt I ever get below 5 seconds, Dan. What we are going to do here in about 5 seconds is move over to the Steelers offseason and your thoughts on that. What do you think about what they've done so far?
Oh, I love everything they're doing. I don't disagree with a thing they've done. I think that the Russell Wilson signing was a good signing because I think that they found a way to win football games last year despite Kenny Pickett. And I feel like if you were wanting to win games exactly the same way that they had won them last year, Wilson should be a little bit better than Pickett at that. And then all of a sudden Justin Fields comes into the picture. And, I know the Steelers promised Wilson the job, and they even reassured him after they traded for Fields. But from what I can see, things change. He wasn't on the team when they traded for him, and I get he's a veteran and they want to. He's going to be a good leader for them. He's great to go into the off-season program as the starter. Heck, you might even get a few games out of him. But if it were me, I'd like to see a guy that was taking big steps forward continue to take another big step forward with Fields, and with Wilson really not being a lock to be on the team next year, I don't see any incentive for the Steelers to actually start him much this year.
Well, you do have your reservations with Russell Wilson. What are his downfalls? I guess. What are his downfalls, Dan?
Well, so when he was in Seattle, they found out pretty quickly that he doesn't see the field very well. So they started moving the pocket for him. And they were able to kind of move the pocket around, and it allowed him to still throw to all levels in the field. And as he got a little bit older, he gained a little bit of weight, and he's lost some athleticism. And he's become more and more conservative, and they have moved the pocket less and less for him. And it's resulted in about 30% of the field barely ever being targeted. And in the NFL, they scout on a level that's, not matched at any other level. And if you aren't throwing the ball to 30% of the field and you're absolutely no threat whatsoever to do that, the defense will not even worry about covering it. And I think that's what has led to Wilson's struggles. If you watch him play, he's very tentative. He's more of a don't make a mistake type of player, and he likes to throw those passes where they're 50-50 balls, but not 50% interception, 50% out of bounds. He's really apt to do that. So right away, I feel like Pickens and him might have a really good connection because Wilson's going to want to throw, and he's pretty good at it too, throw those sideline passes that are high where you got to toe tap and the back of the end zone type of throw he likes. And really, I truly believe that Wilson should play that Kenny Pickett role fairly similar, but maybe a little bit better. And I feel like he's almost the same quarterback in a lot of ways.
One thing I noticed, Brian, was kind of going off subject here. Russell Wilson in Seattle, when they was successful, what was the big thing? The defense. They was defense up in Seattle. They were successful. He goes to Denver. This team lets up 70 points in a game. Russell Wilson wasn't as successful. Maybe back playing on a team that does play a nice physical style defense that does keep opponents' points low. Maybe those, that could go a long way in helping a quarterback like Russell Wilson, give him the leeway, give him the luxury of doing more things that he's comfortable with throughout the course of the game because the defense is more shut down. Again, Denver let up 70 points last year in a game, and Russell Wilson didn't have, he didn't have a terrible year, but you give him a good defense again like he had in Seattle. You think that plays does that play a role, Dan?
I think so. Another thing is Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. They have some similarities that are definitely not a great fit right now for your personnel. They were the fourth and fifth most sacked quarterbacks, despite even both of them missing a few games. They had 44 and 45 sacks. And that being said, they were both top 3 in the NFL with time with a clean pocket. So they had 2.8 and 2.7 seconds of time with a clean pocket, but still were the most sacked quarterbacks. By comparison, Tua had 2.1 seconds with a clean pocket and had 29 sacks. So he had almost a full second less before a defender was about to hit him or made him move, and he had half the sacks, or a little bit, 60% of the sacks. So
that's really interesting.
Wilson and Fields are chronically holding the ball and getting sacked way more than they should.
That's the one negative that I do keep hearing about Justin Wilson was the fact that he does hold on to the ball a little bit too long. I don't watch a lot of Bears games, so I'm kind of taking people's words on this, but that is the one thing, Brian, that I've noticed that people are saying.
Hey, Dan, listen, we only have like 2 minutes before we have to go to break. Before we do that, I know we wanted to get into the future of where the Steelers were going. Are you able to stay on for like the first 10 minutes of the next segment?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So then we can keep plugging away at this. Okay, all right. So that's the reservations you have for the wide receivers. What do you think about the Steelers picking up Patrick Queen, the 24-year-old from Baltimore?
Wow, what a stud. How did Baltimore let him go?
Exactly.
Geez.
You know what they did?
What are you thinking?
What they did, Dan and Brian, was they re-signed Arthur Millette. So, isn't this kind of a... I'll take that trade-off any day.
I don't know what they were thinking, but, Queen is an absolute stud. He's gonna be a fan favorite for sure. He's he's above average at everything. He's best in coverage. He's just above average at everything, but he's a tough guy, and he's a great leader. And he was a round 1 pick. I mean, he is a stud, and he was supposed to be a stud. I mean, this guy didn't just show up out of nowhere and play well. I mean, he is playing up to the way they're projecting him to play, and I think he's more of a middle linebacker in your system. If he was in a 4-3, he could play all 3 linebacker positions, but I don't see him as interchangeable at the outside linebacker positions. But he'll be your starting nickel, pass defending linebacker, and your starting dime pass defending linebacker. He'll be on the field every snap.
Brian, I want your opinion. Do you think that this pickup with Patrick Queen, now ever since Ryan Shazier got injured quite a few years back. Everyone constantly goes on and on. We need that middle linebacker that could play sideline to sideline. Brian, does that fall in that category for you? Do you think we got our guy finally?
I think I don't know if he's Shazier, but he's darn close.
Okay, closest thing that we've had, right?
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
I mean, that Bush pick was bad. I was so happy about it. He actually played well his rookie year, and then he had the injury, and then he was scared to tackle anybody.
Ever since the injury.
It's tough to play defense when you're scared to tackle anybody, and you're right in the middle of it. What about this Van Jefferson guy they picked up, Dan?
Van has been a great deep threat. That's always been his thing. I think anybody that's watched a lot of football immediately thinks of, a guy that has a high yards per catch when things are going well. He had his best season with Matt Stafford. I think that's about his ceiling. I don't think you're going to get more out of him than 2020. I believe he had something like 800 yards. I think that's, 50 catches, 800 yards, 6 touchdowns is his ceiling, and I don't expect him to do that here. I think that he is more than likely a guy they signed hoping that they can get better at the position, but he's a good backup plan. See a lot of teams doing that right now, where they just go out and they sign somebody that would be good enough if they can't get better there, and that way they don't have a huge hole.
Yeah, like if somebody goes down for a couple weeks, he could fill in for a couple weeks.
He's nowhere near the wide receiver that Deontay Johnson is. And really there's nobody available that is. I think there's some fits. If you were to think about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields being your quarterback, they both really like to throw the ball outside towards the sideline, and they like to throw the ball deep. They're both good at throwing the ball deep. Wilson actually is one of the leaders in passes beyond 30 and 40 yards, so that's a little-known fact. He really likes to huck it down there. He almost always does it down the sideline. There's guys like Michael Gallup who kind of specialize at that. OBJ might be a guy they can get cheap that kind of specializes in that. I don't know if he's signing somewhere. There's a rumor and he's signing with the Chiefs maybe, but DJ Chark is another guy. He's not really played to what we thought he might be. I think he was a first or early second-round pick 5 years ago, and he fits that sideline receiver. I don't think the Steelers need necessarily that Stephon Diggs type, Jamar Chase type of receiver where they operate all across the middle of the field and run all these shallow stutter routes. I don't think that either quarterback is going to necessarily take advantage of that. I think that they'd be better off having 2 George Pickens than a Deontay Johnson and a George Pickens. So don't think that you need to replace Deontay Johnson with a Deontay Johnson. I think in this case, you'd be better off having a Cortland Sutton
all right
from Pickens.
Well, Dan, we do have to go to break. You're going to stay on the other side. We'll see you on the other side of the break, and we're going to get into more Steelers things and what they need to do for the rest of this offseason. You guys have been listening to WBBP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Are you ready to start your career journey? Turn your dream into a degree at Community College of Beaver County. With over 35 degrees and pathways in business, health science, STEM, aviation, and more, CCBC can help you navigate to your destination. Which will you choose? Enroll now for spring classes and start your journey. Learn more at ccbc.edu. Real learning for real life.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of low prices at AK Nahas. This President's Day, get a Whirlpool washer with removable agitator for $4.99, or a GE French door refrigerator for only $12.99. Save up to $400 on KitchenAid stainless steel dishwasher with a third rack, only $7.49, or a GE stainless steel print resist dishwasher for $6.29. Plus free local delivery, setup, and removal. Save more this President's Day only at AK Nahas Appliance, Furniture, Mattress, and TV. You'll do okay with AK.
In revolutionary times, to be a patriot meant devoting oneself to the greater good and serving one's country in order to preserve the quality of life for everyone. Being a patriot can still bring great rewards in much the same way when you engage with Patriot Home Care in the Beaver Falls area. It can happen as an in-home care and general assistance provider for your loved one, or as a place for you to serve others as a Patriot Home Care employee. Do the patriotic thing today. Call Patriot Home Care, 724-506-8911. Let's all join together to serve the community. Airtime provided by Beaver Area Heritage Foundation.
The smell of spring is in the air, and that can only mean one thing: spring training baseball on Beaver County. Set your radio dial to WBVP and 99.3 FM to listen to Pirates baseball all spring as Kutch and the Bucks prepare to build off of last season and put the Pirates back in playoff contention. Pirate Spring Training Baseball is presented locally by the St. Barnabas Health System, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Patriot Home Care, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, and Beaver County Radio.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. Also, make sure you check us out at Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. On the line, we still have Dan the Man Neely. Dan, we were talking about what the Steelers have done. What do you think they need to do moving forward this offseason?
Well, I love this idea of trading for Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is a top 5 receiver, and no one really talks about him like he is. He had the second best PFF grade. He was better than Justin Jefferson, and he's going to be half the price. And, I'm not trying to say he is better, but he is a phenomenal receiver, and he's a phenomenal fit for Fields and Wilson. And if I'm a Steelers fan, whatever I'm thinking about this team, I want to be probably thinking about this team as Justin Fields being my long-term starter, because I truly believe that he could be that. So, that's how I would see it if I was a Steeler fan, I think.
Now what type of trade is this Ayuk worth? What would the Steelers have to give up?
Well, he's a phenomenal player, so you're not going to get as much value out of any draft pick than you're going to get out of him, in my opinion. I think he's 26, so you're talking 5-6 years even of phenomenal play left. I would give it up whatever they want. First, second, and third round pick. Take it.
Wow.
Fine.
Well,
he's that good.
Well, Dan, when we used to play John Madden football, one of my favorite things to do was to run the ball versus you. And I love just following my guards and my centers and my tackles and just trying to fight through your stout defense. As much as I love to throw that deep ball to Randy Moss or whomever, I still would rather run and get that 3rd and 3 and get 4 yards, and you get really frustrated that you should have stopped me. But right now, the Steelers' offensive line is like Dan Moore Jr., Isaac Seumalo, Nate Herbig, James Daniels, and Broderick Jones. They need some upgrading there on the offensive line. Let's just say the Steelers don't trade those 3 picks for Ayuk. What do you think they should do in the draft, or is there anybody still out there they can get?
Yeah, you got a real good point. Dan Moore Jr. had a 39.7 pass block grade, and he's a left tackle. I think it's got to be the worst in the NFL.
I think he is the worst in the NFL, and I've voiced my opinion about that plenty last year.
Your strong suit's your left guard there, and he's not. He's just above average. You don't have a stud on that line. Nate Herbig. Who is that? I don't even know who that is.
We don't know either, Dan. We live here.
James Daniels. He's below average at everything. Broderick James. He had a 52 pass blocking rating. Nobody had above 60 for a grade in any category at all besides your left guard that
Well, I will tell you, Dan, that every time we did the quarterback sneak, which I think was Kenny Pickett's claim to fame last season, that's the only thing he did well, he would always go behind Siamalu. I don't understand how defense didn't know where he was going with the quarterback sneak. He was literally going right to the left guard, and it was pretty successful. So, yeah, they felt like he was the strength of the offensive line for sure.
Yeah, if it were me, I would be trying to upgrade my offensive line. There's no way that any of these two quarterbacks can make it through the season with this offensive line. They both chronically hold the ball too long, and they both had amazing pass blocking last year and still were amongst the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. We're talking about guys that had time and still got sacked, going to a team that looks to me like they won't have time to throw. And to make matters worse, they're in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, especially against the opponent's defensive line. I mean, you got to go up against Baltimore, got to go up against Myles Garrett. And by the time TJ Watt's done with preseason, these guys are going to have no confidence. I mean, they're going to get beat every single day for 3 months straight on every single snap.
Well, they were used to it last season, so hopefully in the first and second round they take care of the center and tackle position. I think you're going to be stuck with Siamalu for sure, which I'm okay with, and Daniels was serviceable, and Broderick Jones was a rookie who was drafted to play left tackle, but they didn't. He was a first-round pick, and they didn't start him. I guess Dan Moore Jr. beat him out somehow in training camp, and then Jones didn't go in till about week 7 or 8, and then their rushing stats went up like 60 yards a game after Broderick Jones was inserted into the lineup. So we know his run blocking's good, but he'll have to work on that pass blocking, I guess, in his sophomore season.
You can get away with that. Just a great run blocking right tackle. You don't have to have a guy that's a 70 grade for pass blocking. And PFF, they don't have as high a grades as they used to have, and a lot of people hear these grades and they think it's really pathetic. But the truth be told, an average grade at any position is around 65 for any category. So he's not that far off, but he's he could improve to be a very serviceable player this year. I could see that.
All right, Dan, we got about 1 minute left before we're going to let you go. Any last thoughts on anything, NFL related, Steelers related, whatever you want?
Well, I'll just say this about the Steelers. They do have a lot of money available, even though it doesn't appear that way. So don't paint yourself in a box thinking that they only have $12 million and they're going to need 4 or so for the draft. We talked about this last time I was on the show. There's a lot of guys that can make a lot of room still just by a simple restructure, and they haven't even had to do that yet. So you guys have as much money as anybody in reality. So just know that it's real easy to do. The player's agent don't even have to approve a signing bonus restructure. They do it. They do it if they want to do it. Nobody has to agree. It just happens. And there's 30, 40 million available still in those type of restructures.
All right, Dan. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. I love coming on, and we'll do this as often as you like.
Yeah, we'll have you on again real soon, Dan. Thanks a lot, and take care.
Yep, you too. See you guys.
See you, Dan.
See ya. All right, guys, that was Dan the Man Neely. Ryan, what do we got? About a minute or so left
we
here?
Have 60 seconds, yes,
60 seconds. What are your thoughts on today's show and what we went over?
My thoughts are this. I love this, Brian. This is Christmas. I love the free agency signings in the NFL. I always get fired up. We have the draft coming up in next month in April. This is as exciting as it gets during the offseason. And again, when it's super active and we're actually getting, in my opinion, we're making leaps and bounds by some of these players that we're bringing in. It makes it that much more exciting, Brian. That's what I have to say about today's show. This is like another Christmas episode all over again. I love it.
All right. Well, I definitely had fun today. We got to have Ralph Williams on from the Sports Corner. You can check him out every Tuesday here on Beaver County Radio from 4 to 6. And like I said, I did finish the Rubik's Cube today during Ryan's show, Two Dumb Yinders. Make sure you guys go on YouTube and like, subscribe, share, comment. They're live every Monday through Friday from 11-ish till 12-something. So definitely check them out on YouTube. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We will see you back here in 167 hours.
You've been listening to One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale on Beaver County Radio. Don't forget, you can watch the show on WBVP-WMBA Facebook page anytime. Tune in next Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale on Beaver County Radio.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, coming to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver